Hi, so if you wanted to add a little bit of extra flexibility to any of the videos I've shared with you so far, then I'm just going to concentrate on hamstrings and hip flexors today. So this would be after you've done some form of exercise, housework, long walk or something, so that your muscles are warm. If you try and stretch the muscles when they're cold, you could damage them. So try and do this, as a bolt-on to something else you've been doing. It'd be handy to have just a scarf, a little cushion, something to rest your head on so that you can relax the parts of the body that are not involved in the stretch. So the first thing to take on board is that sometimes it's very difficult to sit and stretch at the end of class. I do know that from watching people who attend. And that is usually because the hamstrings are tight, the lower back is tight, and the hip flexors are tight. Your pelvis is being pulled into an uncomfortable position and it wants to roll you back, whereas I would like you to sit up really nice and tall. So one of the things you can do is either sit onto a little cushion or sit with your back to something that's going to hold you in the upright position. So what you're aiming to do first of all is a couple of different hamstring stretches. So we're going to look at this one first. We're going to stretch this leg here. You can have this leg out or you can have it into your thigh here. It's quite handy to use something that you can pull on to help you extend the stretch. And we'll try a couple of different positions. So you're first of all going to see where your start position is. So if I reach forward from here, my fingertips are level with my toes. So I'm aiming to increase my flexibility forward. So I'm going to use my breath. Take a breath in and I'm going to pull on my scarf and I'm going to hinge my body forward. So you can see I've already got that length in my arms that shows that I'm increasing my flexibility. Now, what I need to do is I need to hang in here for about 15 to 30 seconds. So that can be quite tedious watching me do that. So I'm aiming to increase my stretch. I'm going to work with you to increase my flexibility. So I'm taking a breath in and I'm hinging forward on that leg and I'm trying to increase that reach forward through the hamstrings. I'm going to change the position. I'm going to round my back. So I'm going to round my back, pull my head towards my knee, and that will take the stretch more into the lower back as I do that. And again, I'm going to use my breath. I'm going to inhale and exhale and ease into that stretch. It's a passive stretch. We just want the muscle fibers to start lengthening away, and allow us to stretch a little bit forward. I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to go forward on that hinge movement. So again, you can see I'm getting more length in that reach as I continue to do the stretch. You could sit here and do this for 15, 20 minutes, watching a television program, having a conversation on speaker on your phone. Allow yourself the time to actually get the flexibility happening there. And I'm going to round my back again and ease over. So I feel the stretch in the lower back and all of the muscles that work from the rib into the hip. Just use the breath, inhale and exhale, and try and increase that stretch. Now, you can pull a little bit harder, but you need to be aware of where the stretch is. So it shouldn't be at the back of the knee. It needs to be somewhere along this line here, and no sharp pains either in the knee or the lower back. Okay, I'm going to inhale, exhale, and move out of that stretch. I'm going to continue with that leg, but I'm going to change my position. I'm going to lay onto my back. Now, what you're looking for with good flexibility in the hamstrings is hips down, legs straight, perpendicular to the floor. Okay, so that's what we're aiming to get to for good flexibility. So I'm going to start off, I'm just going to lengthen the leg down and actively stretch the leg. So lengthen the leg down, actively pulling. I'm keeping my hips down, shoulders relaxed, heads relaxed. I'm not moving through the pubic bone or the pelvic area. I'm just actively stretching that hamstring. And then I'm going to just hold that position and feel the stretch along the length, not in the knee, not in the hip. So I'm just going to try and hold that stretch. Now, if I push onto that scarf, I'm creating a little bit of tension here. If I count to 3 and then release it out, I can increase that stretch. But again, be very careful when you're doing this that you're not overstretching. Again, I'm going to push into that scarf. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to let the leg come a little bit further. I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to push into that scarf, 1, 2, 3, and let the leg come a little bit further. And then I'm going to release the leg down, bring the knee into the chest, and lengthen out through the opposite side. So now, get rid of my scarf. I'm stretching through the front of the hips. I'm pulling in through the knee and stretching through the hip on the opposite side. But I'm also getting a little bit of stretch here, again on the hamstring. Okay, and just holding that position, just relaxing into the stretch. And then I'm going to switch legs, change to the other side. Again, I'm getting a little bit of pre-stretch there for that hamstring, and I'm stretching along the front of the hip here. That's good. So you've just got to go with the flow and just relax into that stretch. And not think about rushing it, just taking your time, just to allow that stretch to happen. Okay, I'm going to use this leg to pull myself up, and I'm changing to the other side. So again, sitting with your back to the settee, sitting on a little cushion, one leg in or one leg out. Again, check what's happening with the hamstring. So here's my stretch at this point. I'm stretching out, I can reach the toes. I'm going to just hinge forward and relax into that stretch. So if you count in your head how long you're here, you need to be there for at least 15 to 20 seconds as you stretch, because the muscle fibers need the time to try and gently lengthen. If you put too much tension on them rather than lengthening, they're going to tighten up and they're going to reduce your ability to stretch. I'm going to round myself forward, and again I can feel that stretch go into the lower back, go into the area between the rib cage and the top of the pelvis there. And I'm going to reach forward again. See, I've increased that reach already. I'm going to hinge down again. So I take a breath in and I ease out. And where I can feel the stretch is along the back of the thigh. It's not going into the knee. If it goes into the knee, just get your little cushion, pop it under there, let it relax. Try and take the tension out of the front of the thigh. Try and take the tension out of the knee, and just allow that stretch to happen. I'm going to round over again through that stretch and just repeating that movement, so I allow the time to allow that stretch to happen. And then I'm going to reach forward again, pulling quite strongly on that band as I come forward. And you can see I've already increased my stretch, and then I'm going to use my leg to come back again. So I've got that perpendicular measurements. That's my starting position. Okay, so I'm going to bend the knee and I'm going to just ease into that stretch. Okay, so I'm just taking it into the back of the thigh there, just allowing that to happen. And then I'm going to push into my scarf for 3, 2, 1, and allow the stretch to increase, keeping the hips down. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to push into that band, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to let the leg come back a little bit further. Can you see each time I come back a little bit further? I'm going to do that one more time. We're going to be aware of what's going on here in the thigh. I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to push into that band, 3, 2, 1, and ease back a little bit further. Now I've increased my stretch from the perpendicular, you can see. Okay. And then I'm just going to let the leg come down and up, down and up. So I'm doing a more dynamic stretch. And bring the knee into the chest. Get rid of my scarf, slide that bottom leg away, get a little bit more stretch here, pulling the knee into the chest. This is a great stretch to do from the end of your bed, with your hip at the end of the bed, because you get a little bit more distance at the front of the thigh there. I'm going to switch to the other side, just stretch out through that hip. That's lovely. And then bring the knees in. Full body stretch, knees into the chest, and you're done. Hamstring stretch.